Managing type 1 diabetes in midlife often begins with revisiting these fundamentals, and I really encourage you to do this. And I hope what I share today is helpful for you. And just to share too, this week I started coaching. This is a new client. We always start off with our first session, and it really is an informational gathering session. I get to learn more about her, and we go through her day-to-day, her routine. And it's not all about the numbers. And that is really what this topic is really here to kind of help support you with. We go to the doctor, they're looking at our A1C, they're looking at our time in range, our basal rates, all of those things. But they're not taking the time to get to know you and what's really going on. What is really going on in your life, in your schedule, your relationships, stresses that we can have in our life that, as you and I both know, really impact our blood sugar and the ability to just stay, to stay in it, right? It's tough, and I totally understand that. Welcome to the Type 1 and Midlife podcast. My name is Melissa Slemp, a certified nutritional health coach and the founder and CEO of Abundant Health with Melissa, where I help women with type 1 diabetes to feel more empowered and live their best life despite their diagnosis. Each week, I will bring conversations and strategies from guest experts and my experience living with type 1 for over 40 years now. So if you're a woman ready to redefine how diabetes can look and feel for you, then the Type 1 and Midlife podcast is the show for you. Just a reminder that nothing you hear on this Type 1 and Midlife podcast should be a substitute for professional medical advice. Please always consult your medical professional before changing your diet, insulin dosages, or healthcare plan. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode. My name is Melissa, and this is the Type 1 and Midlife podcast, and I am your host. And today we're going to dive into a topic that's close to my heart and my everyday practices, and you're about to hear more about that and how essential all of what we're going to be, or what I will be talking about. I'm here by myself today in a solo episode. What I believe is essential for managing type 1 diabetes, any time of life, but I think especially important when we hit midlife, which is age 40 and up. That's the general reference of what midlife is defined at. And this is real life. I'm just doing a CGM check. So blood sugar is 130 after having lunch not too long ago. So I'm good and steady and ready to dive in. So before I start, a little housekeeping. I wanted to just to re-emphasize how important it is for this show. We are here to reach more women with type 1 who need support and encouragement with the day-to-day. And we encourage you to share the show, to let other ladies that you know living with type 1 know about what we are doing here. And we also ask that you head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. That really help push out the show and to make it more available for others to find us. So you can also, anytime visit me at abundanthealthwithmelissa.com. That's my website. You can get some free resources and to learn more about me and my coaching. And you can drop me a line there if you have any questions, or you can also visit the podcast page there. So abundanthealthwithmelissa.com/podcast to see all of our previous episodes. And you have a chance to kind of look a little bit closer at the show notes and learn about prior guests that we've had on. There's always really good information right there on my site. So let's dive in. Today, I really want to talk about foundational health. And I'm going to dive into 5 of the important lessons that I learned a little bit later, some things that I wished I knew sooner, it would have made my own management and living with type 1 a lot easier. Knowledge is power, understanding who we are, where we are, what's important with our health and our routine every day really does help, And I'm just like you. I continue to learn and pay attention when things don't quite look or feel right. And when I can stop thinking about it too much and just dive in and make those changes or swaps, or just kind of reevaluating where I am and where I need to be with my health, it sure is really, really impactful. So managing type 1 diabetes in midlife often begins with revisiting these fundamentals. And I really encourage you to do this. And I hope what I share today is helpful for you. And just to share too, this week I started coaching. This is a new client. We always start off with our first session, and it really is an informational gathering session. I get to learn more about her, and we go through her day-to-day, her routine. And, it's not all about the numbers. And that is really what this topic is really here to kind of help support you with. We go to the doctor, they're looking at our A1C, they're looking at our time in range, our basal rates, all of those things. But they're not taking the time to get to know you and what's really going on. What is really going on in your life and your schedule, your relationships, stresses that we can have in our life that, as you and I both know, really impact our blood sugar and the ability to just stay, to stay in it, right? It's tough. And I totally understand that. So when I talk about the fundamentals, and like I was sharing with my client that I just mentioned, she really thought that we were just going to be diving into all the nitty gritty. And because that's what she's used to, she was the first time working with a coach. And I understand that's a new, experience and relationship, and the steps can be a little bit just unsure because it's something that you haven't necessarily walked through, to get the support and accountability that I do offer in my health coaching. So when we started to talk, her and I just wanted to learn about her, really talk about how she feels during the day, talking about her, we did talk about food. We talked about breakfast routine and what she does to get up in the morning and different aspects of her work and her family life. Again, all these things impact not only who we are as people, but how we take care of ourselves, our ability to really focus on ourselves and our health. And this ultimately affects our blood sugar and all of that, right? And then when we get older, and because things are always changing, life is always changing, kids coming and going, kids leaving the nest in my case, and the whole just the whole atmosphere of the home and what is going on changes. Well, with these changes comes changes in our health and the things that we really need to really be focusing on. So the A1C and the time in range and losing weight, those tend to be the things that we focus on, when it comes with any sort of health goal, but especially I think with diabetes. And, but all that is so stressful. And we can really say that we are focusing on the wrong things because when we are so deep into that, and that's all that we're looking at, that's the only way that we're grading who we are or what we're doing or our success, or in some cases we consider it a failure because we're just not there yet with our A1C. We really need to take a step back. And I know this is something I had to do with myself. And this is what I do when I'm working with clients, is really looking at the full picture, the whole picture, looking at the whole person, not just the numbers, and really what is impacting the day-to-day. It can be that simple. I didn't say it was easy, but it can be simple. You need to build a stronger foundation Do you need a framework to better manage type 1 diabetes? I know this may sound like a silly question, and I know this is so vital for all of us. But it starts with our thoughts, right? It plays such an important role in shaping this journey and how we accept our diagnosis and how we approach diabetes management with more resilience, and how dedicated and committed we can be in order to bring a sense of freedom and really an overall happier life, right? That's what we all want. So I created a 3-step guide to empower women on how to excel in life while managing diabetes. I walk you through the ABCs to accept, believe, and commit to life with type 1, and how this mindset shift will build your confidence and help you with the day-to-day habits we all know are so important. Then you get to learn 3 specific lifestyle practices along with actionable steps you can get started on right now. If this is what you need, just click the link in the show notes and subscribe and download my free guide, How to Thrive with Type 1 Diabetes After 40, and you get to stay in touch with me and get early access to my group and my one-on-one coaching programs. So sounds like you just visit the link in the show notes and check it out. Now back to the show. And I think the first step is really just understanding and taking a kind of a closer look at really what is going on and what may need to be shifted. And, this I draw this from my own experience. I realized after years of struggling and feeling overwhelmed by trying to improve my A1C and my story of being too vigilant. And if you've heard me on prior episodes, I've shared my diabetic retinopathy scare that I had just 10 years after my diagnosis. And that changed the way I approached, obviously, my A1C. I was hyper focused on that A1C. I wanted it to be low and tight and in control. And because I was afraid of losing, my eyesight. Obviously, that's a scare that it's hard to just to walk away from or to ignore. So that was something that I just had to struggle with. So in doing that, I lost track of the foundation. These are the same things that I'm going to speak into today. So when I slowly, because this takes time, this was not like hitting a light switch for me either. But that's one of the things that I love about the reason I coach and what I'm able to do is for women to learn from my mistakes. And sometimes these are women that are newly diagnosed. Some of the ladies and clients I'm working with, some have been dealing with diabetes for many years, a warrior like myself. But either way, it doesn't matter what length of time or, how long you've been in the game. When you can just take a step back and focus on these things, I really think it's going to help support you. And I started to get better results when I was looking at things like, anything that was beyond the A1C and the scale. I was looking at staying hydrated, staying active, improving, just those simple habits. So hydration, regular exercise. So it not only boosted my confidence and motivation, because those were things that for me were easy to attain. Again, that's just me. I know for everybody, bringing in habits like this that we all know support our blood sugar and support our health. It's kind of like choosing that low-hanging fruit. You're going to recognize what is going to be more attainable. And that is what I always begin with when I'm working with clients too, is we just build on what is working and polish it up even better. And if there's any more sort of area that they can even improve upon more, to expand on, it just naturally boosts your confidence and your abilities, and seeing yourself and feeling yourself just do better. and making those steps, and really how attainable it is. And that is so impactful. It's, you know, and it's kind of like a snowball effect, isn't it? Because, you know, just think of what a snowball effect is. If you grew up I did at one point grow up in the Northeast in New England. So I did go to school walking in the snow every day. So I've thrown a snowball, made a snowball and thrown a few snowballs in my days. But I love that analogy, because when we start with the basics, and like the hydration and the moving our body regularly, those are just examples. It sets a stronger foundation for making more substantial changes. So it's all about creating a positive cycle of those healthy habits that are, when they're compounded and recognized as supporting you, you don't look back. You know, these are things that are going to obviously make you feel better and enhance your overall health. And you want more and more and more of that. That is really what I found myself doing. And I'm not saying I have perfect days or I don't make mistakes, you know, or that I don't have blood sugar spikes or blood sugar drops. Goodness knows that we all have those. That is just part of the life with this disease. But it's really putting it in perspective and understanding that when we are able to control, and I don't always like the word control because it's a word that's thrown around a lot, especially with blood sugar, because I don't think blood sugar is anything that anyone can really control. It's just something that we can be conscientious of and aware of, and we can spot the trends and just kind of, you know, make those changes accordingly, which is really what this is all about, right? Managing diabetes is just making decisions, watching to see what happens, and then shift accordingly. So let me share with you, and as we navigate this journey together, and I hope that you continue to listen to this episode, and just a reminder to share this show, send the link to a friend or somebody you know who may be suffering as well and needs this support from other women. So these are some things, the basics, the 5 important lessons, or the basics that I've learned along the way, things I wished I had prioritized. So maybe these are things I did so, but when I realized that they were really something that once I could really focus on them and make them almost something, you know, this is funny too, because I don't think a goal or any of the things I'm going to mention is something that you should have to necessarily put on a to-do list or a goal list. It starts that way when this is something new, but over time, our hope is that these habits, as we call them, these basics are just, it's going to come natural, and you're going to know that they nourish you, and you will know that this is the best thing for you. And that is really the best incentive, isn't it? So number 1, so these are the 5 important lessons, the basics that I've learned along the way. And I hope you find these helpful too. So eating healthy fats. So this is kind of a funny one, because I thought about this because I was thinking back when I was, well, really teenage years, early 20s. You remember the days where everything was fat-free and low fat, and we were supposed to minimize fat, you know, that fat was going to make us fat. So we ran scared of having fat on any part of our plate. I know I did. I can't tell you how many things I was purchasing, and it was packaged foods, processed foods. I was not aware of ingredient lists back in those days, so I had no idea what I was eating. I just know it said fat-free, and it must be good for me. That must be what's going to help support my weight, and I guess that would help support my blood sugar. Again, I didn't know the facts back then. But one of the key lessons I've learned is the importance of healthy fats into my diet. And balance is key. I talk about that a lot here. I know Kitty Finkley and I, our dietitian that is on board here with regular episodes, we speak into this topic a lot, and just how important real whole foods and mixing them together, combining them together into balanced plate, which is a balanced meal, really does help us, helps everybody, but especially those of us that, we have to kind of monitor those numbers even closer than the rest of the population. So just to tell you a little bit why this is important, healthy fats, they really play a very important role in supporting hormonal balance, especially during menopause. It's very important to get these fats into our diet as our estrogen is dropping and all the other hormones are shifting. It is a receptor, and it is very much needed in our system to as we're transitioning through that stage. So you ask what foods, and again, these might be things that you already know, but these are just great reminders. So some healthy fat examples are avocados, nuts and seeds, and olive oil. These are incredibly beneficial. And then there's obviously eggs is a good example, and fatty fish like salmon. And I am completely lost. What's the fish? And I was thinking of it before I got on here, and I forgot to write it down. I think it's cod, and there's a couple others that are considered the smaller fish. They do tend to contain a little bit more healthy fats, the omega-3s, sardines, mackerel. Those are the other two I was trying to think of. So just in hindsight with this, don't be afraid to embrace all of these delicious sources of good fat and see how your body responds and how your blood sugar responds and your overall health. It supports our joint health. It supports our brain function. And, again, I think back to all the issues I had in my 20s and my 30s when I was limiting my fat consumption, not understanding why it was needed, and how my monthly cycle was a mess. And again, I was just told that was part of what I was supposed to be going through. That was normal. That's what the doctors were telling me, not understanding how it is connected to what we eat. Everything we eat is going to impact us in a good or bad way. So I think just understanding all these facts is so, so important. So number 2, so again, we're going over my 5 most important lessons or the basics that I've learned along the way to help support you, women with type 1 diabetes. So number 2 is establishing a sleep routine. So I've always loved to sleep, never necessarily had a sleep routine. I think I've just had somewhat of a bedtime, somewhat of a wake up time, but never really understood how it was impacting my health and my energy and my blood sugar. Again, these are all things that help improve insulin sensitivity, because your body, when it's at rest, has a chance to heal and to go into that deep REM cycle of sleep. It just naturally helps our body do what it needs to do while it's at rest, and what it can better do when it's awake during the day. And that is metabolizing sugar and making insulin more sensitive. So it's improving the way that our body processes the insulin that we are injecting every day and giving ourselves. So it's always been a game changer. It's one of those things that I will argue about when it comes to really what's important with our overall health. And it's a non-negotiator with me. I know even if I'm traveling or visiting somebody out of town, I put a lot of emphasis on what the sleeping arrangements will be, and even making plans to not stay out late or to change my routine, because that's really what's most important, is really just having a routine. So going to bed at a regular time and getting up at a regular time. Our body and our circadian rhythm just gets in sync with that. And of course, that helps with our cortisol levels, which we all know impacts insulin resistance if our cortisol is not in balance. So, like I said, consistent sleep is a game changer. So aim for quality sleep by creating a calming bedtime ritual, like reducing screen time. I just purchased some blue blocker glasses. So it's something that's been on my to-do list for a while, and I finally just bought a few pairs. So that is something that I'm going to be using, and to see how that does impact just my ability to just kind of come to a more calming sense before the actual bedtime arrives, right? So that maybe that's an hour or two before bedtime or sooner, where these glasses can be used. Sometimes I will say I'm on my phone a little bit in the evening, just getting back with clients, checking in with clients. That is all part of what I do to support women. And so that does kind of pull me into having to look at a screen. So I'm lucky to say, I'm very thankful that we do not have a TV in our bedroom. That is something that we have never had since I've been married to my husband. Very thankful for that. The bedroom really should be reserved for sleeping, and obviously, all the other stuff that might happen in there. But we definitely don't want to bring our screens in there or our phones in there. We don't need outside noise or distractions. It needs to be cool and comfortable, quiet. Although I'm a fan lover, meaning that I need the sound of the hum of a fan in the background to just put me into that kind of a sleep mode. So I have a hard time falling asleep when it's completely quiet. I just need that background sound to keep me comfortable and in that Zen state, right? So it's just really, really conducive to having a good night's sleep. So all these things. And, these are some of the things that I obviously work on with my clients, creating a very specific sleep routine based on them and their unique needs and, their home life and all of that. So, we talk about lavender and doing some chamomile tea, doing some stretching or some soft yoga before bedtime. These are all great ways to just bring it down, to kick in the melatonin, the natural melatonin, to get into that sleep zone. So these are just all great examples. Now, number 3. So again, we're going over my 5 important lessons, or the basics that I wished I'd known sooner and had put into practice on a regular, consistent basis. So number 1 was eating healthy fats. Number 2 was a sleep routine. And number 3 is quality supplements. And I never really took supplements when I was younger. Again, I didn't really have any knowledge really on vitamins and nutrition and any of that when I was, again, a lot younger. So I didn't value it. So I didn't take time to even think about it. But, our first wave of this, the first choice is our diets. We really should be getting the vitamins and nutrients we need from food first. That's important. And supplements are just that. They supplement what we may need to fill in that maybe has been tested, during some blood work. We definitely get blood work done when we have diabetes. So if you can get these levels checked and to see where you are and see if there's any missing gaps that needs to be filled in with some quality supplements. And that's something I have available to you as well. You can visit my website, abundanthealthwithmelissa.com and /favorites. And you can take a look at the high quality supplements that I use and recommend. And it's on an amazing supplement dispensary store. So as a coach, I have access to this to offer to my clients. So you can take advantage of that. And there's no strings attached. You just create an account, buy what you need when you need it, and no auto ship rules or fees or any of that. It's just trusted supplements for what you need whenever you need it. So you can check that out. And, this kind of brings me to one vitamin that I talk about a lot. And I talked with the same young lady, this client I was just mentioning that I just started working with. And that is vitamin D3. And just to let you know, in a future episode, we will be talking. I have a guest coming in, and we're going to really dive into this topic. But this is a vitamin that I even found myself very short on. It was about 4 years ago, it was when I was going through perimenopause and things were just all over the place. And I was seeing that in my own blood testing results that my doctor had recommended I get done. And it really shed a light on some things that I needed to help support, again, my energy, my insulin sensitivity, and just my immunity, not to mention my immunity. That's the most important thing. So my vitamin D3 is something that I had to start supplementing, and I continue to do that. And it's something I recommend everybody to talk with your doctor about, see what those levels are, and make sure that you are prescribed something that will get you in an optimal level of vitamin D3. So yeah, definitely check with your healthcare professional about quality supplements just to see what you need and to make sure it's not going to counteract maybe any other medicines that you're taking. So definitely get advice from your doctor. And number 4 is variety of vegetables. So guess what? I was not a vegetable eater when I was a little bit younger. So exploring a variety of vegetable. And looking back, I remember how boring, and I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to say boring because there wasn't a lot of color on my plate back in those days. I used to eat iceberg lettuce with ranch dressing, that was really about it. Maybe a tomato and cucumber. I didn't even like cucumbers back then. So it was something I had to kind of shove aside on my plate because I didn't like it. But it's no wonder I never liked salads back then. It's just crazy because I wasn't really using all the amazing vegetables that can make a beautiful, tasteful salad. And I will say, my husband and I, we eat salads every single day. It is always the base of our meals, lunch, and most often at dinner as well. So sometimes twice a day, we have some fresh greens. And the list of vegetables now that we choose and we buy and we keep on hand, it's just so beautiful. And it just adds a lot of variety, not only to what we're eating and what it looks like, because pretty food on your plate always is amazing. And, just how much better we're feeling. And it's keeping, again, those vitamin and mineral levels up to par, which is the most important thing. And it's just so beneficial, when we think about what our plate looks like, right? I can remember eating more pasta and breads and potatoes and rice and all of those things. And it took up most of my plate. And then we usually had some meat as part of that meal as well. But vegetables was a small little portion of the plate. And so much has changed since then. Now I begin my meals always focus around the vegetables, and then we fill in with a protein and a healthy fat. There's the healthy fats again, and then a source of protein, sometimes animal protein, meat, fish, or some plant-based proteins. So there's so many great options out there. But it is incredible, I think, when we can say that we are choosing to put more vegetables on our plate to not only nourish us, but to also to feel satisfied and satiated with vegetables. They are considered a carb. They are a non-starchy carb, and they can add up to a little bit of carbohydrates. Again, it just depends on which ones you are choosing to eat and how they are combined with maybe some other food on your plate. You may throw on some potatoes, some quinoa, anything like that. That's all great. But, I think when we begin to focus on vegetables as our main portion, the main driver of what we're going to eat, it really makes the whole meal experience just more enjoyable. And when we have blood sugars that are going to respond well and we're going to feel good after we're eating, that's always my goal. It's a win-win, right? And the insulin requirements are going to be a bit lower. Again, this is all something that you have to think about and work on within your own health and your own diabetes care. This is what works for me, and it has for many years. And just incorporating and finding some different vegetables to try. That's usually my goal every week when I go to the farmer's market or my local market, is to try a new vegetable or a new fruit each week, see how it goes and see how I was able to incorporate it into balanced meals. Another thing to consider is herbs. That is something that I've been doing more of as well. I've always been a little intimidated by herbs. I'll be honest. I see them. They're beautiful. They smell amazing, but I'm not sure what to do with them. So I've just had to do a little bit of homework, and I'll ask the people that are actually at the market that are selling them. They are always so helpful and encouraging on how to use them, and how to incorporate them with other different types of foods and vegetables. So it's always fun to learn and try new things. So that was number 4, to add more variety of vegetables, something I wished I had done sooner, but I'm making up for it now. And finally, this is number 5. This is something that I just think it is such a life-changing thing, and that is to have people in your life and connect with a diabetes community. Living with diabetes sometimes it feels pretty lonely. It's a journey. You feel like you're on an island by yourself. Nobody gets you. You try to explain why you've got to take an insulin shot with your dinner, and people look at you like you have 2 heads. There's no real understanding or connection with what we have to do every day, and it can feel very isolating. And I know I felt like that for many years. I finally connected with Diabetes Sisters, and that is an organization that I recommend to everybody to check out. You can visit their site, diabetessisters.org, and they host monthly meetups, and I host one here in St. Augustine, where I live here in Florida. So once a month we get together and we invite women in the community to come hang out, share a meal, and sometimes we talk about certain topics that month, or we just visit and we get to know each other and we lean into each other and get to know one another. It's so connecting because we have that bond, and there's nothing like it. And this is a funny story, and I'm sure that many of you could probably relate to this too. I've had many instances where I've just been out and about, and you spot somebody across the crowd wearing a CGM or an insulin pump, and it's an instant connection. It's just beautiful. And this just happened the other night. We were actually out doing some line dancing, a group of friends and myself celebrating her birthday. And across the dance floor was this young lady, and she had on a Dexcom CGM. I'm stumbling a little bit. I apologize. And I spotted her, went over to her, introduced myself, and it's just an instant connection. We need more of that. And I think just the way that we're kind of living and being a lot more transparent about our devices and what we're managing and how we're managing it, I think that's really opening up the doors for that. When I was younger, I didn't obviously have devices. I've never worn an insulin pump, so it was never obvious to anybody that I had diabetes back then. Maybe that was part of the isolation too, because there was no visible sign that I lived with it. So, but in hindsight, that was what it was. But now I happily wear my CGM on my upper arm as my spot of choice. It works good there. It's just easy to take on and off. I don't have any skin irritations and all of that good stuff. So it's worked out really good. And it's a great conversation starter. So I definitely recommend getting out there and staying connected. And whether it's through local support groups, like I mentioned, Diabetes Sisters. I also, obviously, my Type 1 and Midlife podcast right here. This is a way to stay connected and to meet other people here on the site. Many of our guests live with Type 1, and we share their social media handle, so you can connect with them on there. So there's definitely ways to meet and grow closer and to hear their stories, just to know that you're not alone. And I also have a Facebook group. It is called Type 1 and Midlife. And you are welcome. You can click on Facebook and request to join. We'd love to have you. And, understanding, just to understand each of our challenges and our victories, because there's a lot of good things happening, even though we manage a disease that doesn't seem to give us a day off, because essentially it really doesn't. Just trying to keep it in perspective. But it's just, to be able to provide just the emotional support that we need and to be there for one another. It's just so, so important. So community is everything. And that reminds me too, I am starting up a membership. So great news. And I am happy to share it here with the listeners. So my Abundant Health with Melissa membership, and it is a potential game changer for you. So if you are, whether or not you are not ready for coaching, one-on-one coaching, this membership, and there's a lot of things added to it, and a lot of resources and support and accountability, and the online dashboard that I hosted on, and the monthly or the bi-monthly group sessions where I come in and I share a topic live right there on Zoom. So you can join that discussion, ask questions, and just build upon your own goals. And, the number one thing, and I have found this in many of the group coaching that I have held, both online and in person, is just the friendships and the growth that happens among women when we come together. It's magical. And it's something that it's even being tested in the healthcare model as well. I have seen and I've heard many stories about how impactful it is for people that when they come together and they share with other people that they obviously have similar goals and dreams about with their health, it just makes a world of difference when they can do it beside other people. And the accountability, that is one thing that I get the most response and feedback I get from my clients, is the fact that I'm there for them, and I hold them accountable, and I check in with them, and they know that they've got somebody they can lean on. So, and that's what we provide inside our membership as well. So it's a low, affordable monthly fee, and you can check it out. And let me know if you want more information on that. And just to recap, so today we had our journey back to the basics, right? Managing diabetes, type 1 diabetes, anytime in life. I say the sooner we can get a handle on these are just 5 basics. I started by talking about hydration, exercise, and we talked a little bit about food and diet and all of that, and coming together with community. But all of these things do wrap up into supporting who you are, what you do, and the ability to manage diabetes with a lot more confidence, with a lot less stress, when you can come together with these basics and strengthen them, and just to feel like you've got this, because it's important. Mindset, and to really surround yourself with love and care. It's just so important. I understand. I've been there myself. I've had those times in my life with this disease where it felt very hopeless. And I'm so thankful that I am now hope-filled for so many reasons. And the number one thing is just the community here, the people I'm meeting, and the women I get to help. So God is so good, very thankful, very blessed. And I'm happy to be here to continue to just share with you. So with that, I want to thank you. And I also want to encourage you. I'm here to support and emotionally prepare you for managing diabetes. And just remember that small, consistent efforts bring lasting results. I promise you they will. You stick with it, stay consistent, and things will start to get easier. And we're here for each other, and it's never too late for those positive health changes. So reach out if you need any support. And if you have insights or some ideas or questions on how to work with me, or if you want to learn more about my Abundant Health with Diabetes monthly membership, just reach out. You can send me a DM on Instagram at Blood Sugar Boss, or you can hop over to our website at abundanthealthwithmelissa.com. and /podcast. So you can visit us there. So again, it's abundanthealthwithmelissa.com/podcast. I'm eager to hear from you. So drop us a note, say hello, tell us what's going on. We want to hear from you. And just a reminder too, you can scroll down right here in the show notes to get all these links that I just mentioned. And there's some free resources in there that you can sign up and a chance to stay connected with me and stay in my community and to get weekly updates from me via email. So with that, closing, just enjoy being here, and I enjoy sharing what I can about the basics that can turn into everyday. Oh, it's easy. It's something that I can do without thinking about it. Wouldn't that be great in a perfect world? Well, we all know we're just doing the best we can, and we're showing up, and we're here for each other. And I want to thank you for tuning in today. I hope you found this episode inspiring and informative. And a reminder that that if you enjoy this show, we need your help. We need your help to spread the word, and to please share you could copy the link right here to this episode and drop it in somebody's message. Send them a message on Instagram or text them the link to the show or the episode. And so we can reach more women with type 1 diabetes who need this support and encouragement. And another thing that we would love for you to do is if you can head over to iTunes to subscribe and rate and leave us a review. We would really appreciate that. Again, this will allow us to reach a larger audience and to keep this show going, which is my hope and my dream. And I know that you want to be a part of that as well. So as always, I fill you with hope and good intentions. And I encourage you to keep thriving and to stay close to who you are. And know that you have this, you are strong and resilient, and you can knock it out of the park any day of the week. You are amazing women. I'm so thankful to be able to come in here and to have a conversation with you every week. And we will catch you here next week. Until then, have a great rest of your day. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the Type 1 and Midlife podcast. Head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. And be sure to check us out at abundanthealthwithmelissa.com for our free resources. See you next week.